What's up, YouTube? Today I am going to be scouting out some possible wild camping locations so you don't have to. It is quite windy today. It's around mid 20-mile-an-hour winds, and it is meant to be on and off showers throughout the day, but luckily it looks relatively clear, sun peeking through a little bit with a couple of grey clouds. I'm not a weatherman, so I am starting here at the Port Hill car park, and from here you've got a few options. You can head up to Cox Tor, just up there. You can head over to Pew Tor, which is that direction. And further up that way, you have Mid Staple, Great Staple, and Roos Tor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to time myself, see how long it takes me to get to each of these tours from the car park. And hopefully when I'm at the top of these tours, I can pinpoint some nice places to pitch up. So the first tour I'm going to is Cox Tor. So let's take a walk up there. Right, it has taken me 15 minutes to get from Port Hill car park up to Cox Tor. And as you can see, the south side of the tour is not really good for camping. However, if you do go past the tour on the north side, you will find that there is what I would only describe as a football field just behind it. And this is actually, in fact, the first place me and Alex wild camped on the channel. If you haven't seen that video, then go back and watch it, please, because it was a miserable day out. It was just pure wind and rain for the whole day and whole night. So let's take a walk over this way and see where it is actually suitable. So this location is where we pitched up. As you can see, you are very open, so there is no protection from the wind and the rain. The only protection you do have is this slight pile of rocks. I'm not sure what the technical term for those are, but it is quite windy up here today, and I think your tent would be flapping about a little bit. So the what three words for this location is elated, legal, powering. And on another note, walking from Cox Tor to where I am now, it is a little bit wet and a little bit boggy. So just bear that in mind. Right, I'm going to head back down to the car park now. Right, so I've swapped out for my raincoat because the rain started coming in a little bit heavier. Let's get to Pew Tor. Now, I find that the easiest way to get to Pew Tor is if you cross this stream at the start of the car park. So you want to be on the left-hand side of the stream. And it's a pretty much path all the way to Pew Tor. So everything from the Port Hill car park to Pew Tor is pretty much fair game to camp on. You can check it out by going onto the Dartmoor camping website, and they have an interactive map where all the permitted camping locations are highlighted in a purple area. So at the moment I'm at Barn Hill on the way to Pew Tor, and I've just stopped and had a look at what could be a good location. So let's have a look. This has taken me 7 minutes to get to this location. So here in front of this little mound of rocks, it does slope downhill a little bit, but if you pitch your tent right, you could camp here, and you would probably be fairly protected from the wind and the rain coming from a northeasterly direction. So this is a good spot that you could camp at. I do know that there does tend to be a fair bit of wildlife that congregate around this area, so just be wary of that. So the what three words for this location where I am now is rentals, trumpets and bordering. So we're going to press on forward over to Pew Tor. So that back there is the Windy Post Granite Cross. And obviously, just there in the distance is one of my favourite tours, which unfortunately you can't actually go to because it is on private land. And that is Vixen Tor, which I think is the largest outcrop of granite on Dartmoor. So yeah. Right, so we are here at Feather Tor now, and I actually haven't explored this place for places to camp, so this is going to be a bit new to me as well. This has taken me 15 minutes to get to from the car, and as you can see, I've come from that direction. Although it does look like a fairly steep hill, it's actually not too bad. So let's have a look around, shall we? So this location I'm at now is looking quite nice, relatively flat, probably enough for 2 to 3 people to pitch up, if I'm honest. You got plenty of space. It is a little bit out in the open, but to be honest with you, this isn't high up like the other tours in the area. This is quite low down, and you don't really feel much of the wind, which is obviously quite nice. So I'd say you'd probably get a little bit of protection from a westerly wind, but not much else. So the what 3 words for this location are payback, gilding and straws. You get some lovely views from down here as well. I mean, you got King's Tor, you got Vixen Tor right in front of us here. You got the Great Miss and Little Miss in the distance, Mid Staple and Great Staple, and Cox Tor behind us where we came from just a few minutes ago in the video. So nice location. So as I said, up at Barn Hill there is usually quite a lot of wildlife, and you've got a fair amount of horses up here, but nonetheless, standing on top of here and looking down in front of me, I can see a lovely spot to camp. Right, so this is looking like a really nice place to set up a camp, I'm not gonna lie. Super flat grounds, and especially you have protection from the wind if it's coming from the north or the east. So that's quite good. No protection from the south or the west, but you'll have to live with that, I guess. Yeah, I mean, you can pitch up anywhere around here, and even where those horses are over there, you could pitch up, providing obviously there's no one there. And if the weather is really bad and you do need that bit of protection from the north or the east, then I've just walked up this little hill, and you've got the shelter from these rocks here, or the tor should I say, to pitch up. So this is quite a nice one. This could be a nice little spot. And I'll be honest, you could easily get a small one-man tent in this gap here, maybe like a Fox 1, maybe even a Fox 2. And on the other side, you could get a small 2-man, like my Raccoon 2.1. So the what 3 words for this location are damage, tailwind, and sailor. Right, so the next location I'm going to is going to be Pew Tor. So I'll see you up there, and hopefully we can find some nice spots to camp on top of a proper tour. Right, so I am now on top of Pew Tor. It's taken me 25 minutes to get to here from Pork Hill Car Park, way over there in the distance. It's quite a nice walk. It's not really that boggy. you can follow the cut grass path all the way up here. The only time you may get some wet feet is when you're crossing the windy post granite cross, but providing that you're sensible, you shouldn't have an issue. So I'm actually on top of the Tor now. I climbed up a little bit to get a nice view of the area around. And as you can see, in the midst of it all, there isn't really space to camp. I mean, I can see a little bit of a flat piece just in the middle, but I wouldn't really want to camp in the middle there. Down here, although it may look pretty clear, it's actually quite lumpy, and there's a fair few bits of rock sticking out, so you're not necessarily going to be able to get your tent pegs in the ground. So I recently watched a video by Dave Does Hiking, and he came up here just for a walk, and he spotted some campers up here on Pew Tor, and I think this is the location of where they were. So where I'm stood right now, there's a little bit of a flat ground there, probably only big enough for one person, or one tent should I say. But on the other side, we'll just take a walk over there now. It looks like you've got another spot for, again, another one tent, although the ground is a little bit bumpy over here, so it might not be ideal. But saying that, if you can pitch your tent in between or around the lumps in the ground, then up here provides shelter from all directions near enough. You can pitch over on that side where you would have protection from the south, the west, and a bit of the north winds, or where I am now, you can have protection from the south, the east, and a bit of the north as well. So this isn't a bad shout for a camping spot. So I am stood at the moment facing southwesterly winds, and obviously there's a large gaping gap between the Tor, which is hitting me. But if you're low down, I think you might be all right. So the what three words for this location are rehearsal, daffodils, and among. So I'm now just heading to the east side of the Tor, because I think I might have found another suitable location. So I'm now on the east side of the Tor, which is there, and here it looks to be relatively flat ground. So this might also be another possible location where you could decide to pitch up. For example, here where I'm stood, and just there, although it is a little bit lumpy, you could again pitch your tent in the right way or right direction to avoid some of these lumps, and this would provide you with lots of shelter from the west. Also, if you wanted to go onto this side, again, a little bit lumpy, but like I said before, you can probably get away with that, and this would give you some protection from the east because you have this nice rock face here. So yeah, it's not too bad. So the what three words for this location are parting, tumble, and inspects. Right, so let's head back to the car and go on to the next tour. Just another location I've just come across. I was literally stood there a second ago, and I've just walked along and come up to this nice flat piece of ground which has plenty of shelter from the west and a little bit from the south. So if it's southwesterly winds like it is today, you do have some protection. And since standing here, the wind's kind of died down a little bit, so it's not too bad. I won't bother mentioning the what three words because it is literally just there where I was. Right, now let's go back to the car. Right, here we are, back at the car park for the third time today. Now I'm going to head up to mid Staple Tor, followed by Great Staple Tor, and then Roos Tor. So let's go. So on this one, you do have to walk away from the car park a little bit before you start climbing. Now, I would suggest walking along the side of the road until you get to a sort of gully, which is just down over there, because although you can walk across this part, it is very boggy. Right, so here I am. I'm at mid Staple Tor now, and it has only taken me 15 minutes to get from the car park to here. The climb up is a little bit steep, but that is no different than the climb over at Cox Tor, which we've done at the start of the video. If you've watched some of our previous camping videos, you'll see that we've actually camped here before, and I have actually camped here twice now, so I know it's a good spot. And where I'm stood right now is where I camped both times. So as you can see, it is quite level and flat. There are a few rocks in the ground, but that hasn't really been much of an issue the last two times. At this location, you do get a decent amount of protection from easterly winds because of the big tor there. As well, you do get a little bit of protection from the southwesterly winds when your tent is obviously pitched up and you are a bit lower. So providing that you do pitch below these two sort of rock piles here, you do have significant protection, I guess. So the what three words for this location are punctual, shuttle and tipping. So just coming across from the middle of the tor, if there is no wind, then this location is far, far better. It's a lot more open, it's flatter ground, there's less rocks about, but as you can probably tell, it's quite windy. But I mean, you've got all of this area here, hopefully you can hear me with this wind. You've got all of this area here to pitch up on. But on a day like today, where it is mid 20-mile-an-hour winds, probably not a good idea. Now, the last time I came up here, I did scout a location which I think would be suitable for camping as well. The only reason I didn't stay there the last time was because there were a lot of horses, and obviously I didn't want to disturb them. So I pitched up back in the middle. So this is the location here where I am now, and this is on the east side of the tor. And as you can see, it's pretty flat, level ground, not that many rocks about, so pitching up here isn't going to be too much of an issue. You do get protection from the westerly winds, and if you just come up a little bit to where all this dry poo is, you get protection from the southwest winds. So on a day like today, I would ideally want to pitch up here. And the what three words for this location are book, presume and thudding. So I think that's it really for mid Staple Tor. Yeah. Right, so now we're just going to take a walk over to Great Staple Tor, just over there. Right, so here I am on top of Great Staple Tor. Only 5 minutes away from mid Staple Tor, just there. So a 20-minute walk from the car park. Now this is one of my favourite places to camp. We came up here a few months back, me, Alex and Will, and this is where we pitched up, just here. So as you can see, it is really flat and level. No obstructions in the ground. A nice big rock face behind and to the side, so you do have plenty of protection from the north or the easterly winds. So the what three words for this location is face, cashier and panicking. When we did camp up here a while back, Alex did show me a spot that he thinks would be a good spot, providing that there was very low wind. So let's go have a look at that, shall we? Oh, and here we are. Not too far away, but this nice flat piece here doesn't provide a lot of shelter from the wind, but arguably the views are so much better. I mean, King's Tor, Tor Quarry, you've got the Princetown mast right in the back there, And then you've got great miss. And the what three words for this location are mistaken, free, and handover. Like I said, you don't get a lot of protection from the wind up at this spot here, but you could always just walk down to this location just in front of me. And that looks like you're going to have pretty much 360-degree cover from wind, which is a really good thought. So I'm going to get down there and I'm just going to see what the ground's like. So I don't know if it's boggy. So as I thought, the ground here is quite waterlogged. I don't think it's really a suitable location, although that is a shame because there's barely any wind where I'm stood. But you can't help that. So let's have a look on the other side and see what's there. Now I've moved over to the west side of the Tor. Where I'm stood now, it's a little bit lumpy, and you don't really get a lot of protection from the wind, which obviously isn't ideal if it is a windy day. But you could probably camp here on a nice day, but I don't know why you'd want to choose that when you've got that location over there with all that view. Although I've just noticed Great Mist Tor is looking beautiful from here. So being on the west side of the Tor, as you can see behind me, is just tons and tons of rocks. So there's not really anywhere suitable to pitch up. And as you can probably tell, it does not give you any protection from the wind being on this side at all. I'm going to have a look over on this little outcrop and see what's what. Nope, nothing on this side either. Although there is a nice few little patches where it is nice and flat and level. It does look like after a bit of rain it is going to get really boggy here. So where I am now is behind the Tor, and this would give you quite a decent amount of protection from the southerly winds, maybe a little bit from southwesterly, but definitely not north or easterly winds. But the ground here is quite flat. It doesn't look like there's many rocks about to obstruct. So I think I might give this one a try at some point. Again, the what three words for this location are existence, offstage, and captions. I think that's it for Great Staple. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to head over to Roos Tor, just over there. It doesn't take that long either. So I'll see you over there. Right, I'm here on top of Roos Tor. It's only taken me 5 minutes to get from Great Staple to here. So that's around 25 minutes from Pork Hill car park. So I'm at the top of the Tor. Where I'm stood now should be able to provide enough wind cover from north-easterly winds. Definitely not from the south or the southwest or even westerly winds, because today it is quite windy and I'm getting battered up here. So the ground up here isn't too bad. It's flat. There aren't any rocks around in the ground. But again, it's just that wind that's going to really annoy you, I think. Wow. So I've just literally walked a couple of meters from where I just was to where I am here. It's relatively flat. It has got a slight sort of downhill, and there is maybe one or two little bumps in the ground, but the wind has drastically changed. From here, you've got protection from the north, from the east, and you've got a little bit from the southwest, south and southwest, should I say. Not so much from the southeast. It is open, but I quite like it here, actually. It's quite nice. And I'm not going to lie, you're down here looking out at your tent, and just seeing all that on a nice clear morning or even a clear evening, that'd be amazing. So the what 3 words for this location are weep, solved, and cuddle. So moving on to this spot here, which I don't know if you probably can't tell on the camera, but there's just no wind whatsoever. It's just so nice. Finally, the first part of the day pretty much without the wind. And that is because of this big ass rock face / tor blocking it. So here is a very good location for any south-facing winds. Yeah, not much else I can say. The ground seems to be okay. I would have thought that after a bit of a rainfall, this ground might get a bit wet. I don't know why, I just have that sort of feeling. But nonetheless, on a nice day like today, it's perfect. And the what 3 words for this location are directly, enough, decay. I mean, the views from this side of the Tor are quite nice too. I mean, you're not really looking at much, but you've got great mess there, and then it's just all open vastness until you get to over there, which I think might be White Tor. I'm not sure. If anyone knows, let me know in the comments. But yeah, I could sit here for quite some time and just look out into the vastness of it all. So that is it for the video today. Hopefully this video has been informative for you watching it. It's definitely going to help me plan some camps in the future. What I would like to say is get out on this side of Dartmoor, get to the Maryvale area, because you park at the Pork Hill car park, and everywhere that I've visited today in this video is less than 30 minutes walking. So if you are a nervous camper and you're scared to venture out into the wilderness for an hour, 2, 3 hours maybe, then dip your toes in the water and come to one of these tours that I've shown you today, because they're easy to get to. They're relatively close to a car in case of an emergency, and it's just lovely up here. So definitely get out here and try camping up this way. If you've got any suggestions on where we could go wild camping that's suitable in the area, then please leave a comment and we'll see what happens, I guess. And if you have enjoyed watching this video, then please consider subscribing to the channel, as we do like to get 2 videos out a week at the moment, whether that be hiking, wild camping, gear reviews, tips and tricks, or maybe some videos like this where I'm scouting a location. So make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with all of our latest videos. We've got a fair few videos planned. One of them, which I'm really looking forward to doing, is Snowdon in August. Hopefully the weather's going to be nice and clear still, and it's not going to be too much of a Welsh weather. But for the time being, I'm going to sit here and I'm just going to take in this view of Great Mist Tor. What I'll do now is I will give a quick, brief rundown on screen of the locations that I've been to today. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.